Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program, where we just researched the semiconductor material, which we're not going to get to for a very long time, but there it is. Yes, we have made some foundation production, and we've been using it to flatten out an area over near the equator, and today we are going to build a main bus. This is a design that I worked out based on main buses that I built before in Factorio and Satisfactory, and basically it's just a case of working out how to converts an already pretty good basic blueprint into a game that has a different kind of verticality, and work out like how it applies to a sphere and things like that. The fact that we're building on spheres definitely throws a spanner in the works in terms of the usual designs, but in this case it's going to not really cause us too much trouble. All we need to do is make sure we're following the equator, and then everything will be fine. We also need to make a whole bunch of belts, because the thing about main buses in every game they're in is they use a lot of belts, more than you would normally need to make a factory, because they waste a lot of space in order to become more versatile and more adaptable, basically. So it's gonna be a big old thing we're making, but it's going to hopefully be able to support all kinds of production going far into the future of this particular save. Could be wrong though. It's a bit of a gamble. We're gonna have to see exactly how it works out once we build the thing. And of course, the easiest way to do it will be to just make the thing and show you how it works. So we'll just get into it. We're gonna need, a whole bunch of everything really, just to make sure we can craft anything we need at the time. I'm one of those people that doesn't make a machine to make every building for him. Some people like to do that first. I am too impatient. Like, I might do it later, we'll see. Once I need things in large quantities that I can't just like handcraft in the moment, then I might cave and start making machines that make machines. But here is the equator line, and this is where we want to start from. I'm going to build a belt as far as I can before we run out of filled in land. And we are also, while the bots are working away on that, we're going to need to fill some more land further up here as well, using the method of foundations that I started with last episode. Just the occasional dot to bring most of it up to the right level. I don't know what I did there. I got distracted, I was talking, and I wasn't thinking about words clicking. Okay. And the bots will just build along as we go. Must be enough space to be getting on with, but the idea about this is scalability. In every direction, apart from backwards in this particular case. We want it to have lots of room to go up, go down, and go west. The only thing we don't have to worry about too much is east, though in the immediate future, I do want to be able to go a little bit to the east. That said, not going to happen because there's coal in the way. We'll have to see about getting that out of the way. However, there is a million coal there. We're basically hemmed in by coal. We got a million coal here, we got a million coal there. It's all just going to get in the way of everything, but we'll find something to do with it. Probably make it into vast amounts of graphite, and then see what we can do from there. Oh, perhaps make it into diamonds. That'd be cool. Just tons and tons of diamonds. Right. Then we need more belts. We're going to keep going with it. We're not going to do them right next to each other. We're going to leave a gap of 1 in between each one. This is very important. I wish it wasn't. I'm hoping that some collision stuff gets changed later so that we can have things more compact, but right now this is what we need. So the drones are going to have to spend a little bit more time building. Also, you gain soil pile from building of certain structures, because the drones will flatten the ground as they build on it, and so that's how you get soil pile before you actually unlock foundation. The game makes sure that none is wasted, so anytime you flatten anything, you're going to get the soil pile. Anytime you fill in, of course, you're going to use it. And I'm yet to determine whether or not there is enough soil pile on a planet to flatten, if you flattened all the hills, also raise all the oceans. We're going to find that out, but it shouldn't matter too much, because this planet has more oceans than most of the planets we've seen so far. Lava planets have very little in the way of below ground level ground, and the desert has practically nothing in terms of below ground at all, I believe. I could be wrong, I haven't really spent much time on there, but that's my understanding. We'll not build any more belts yet, actually, because that takes some time, and I'd rather get on to the next thing here. So we need to hook up a couple of belts to these. The belts that we need are the things that are smelted. So, iron ingots, copper ingots, and magnets. I'm going to do them a certain way around, not because that matters so much to the design, but because it matters to me. So we're going to start with the iron. We're then going to do the copper. And then we're going to put in the magnets third, just because why not? And because I want to. So we'll raise this there, lower it, and then into there. Easy enough. Let's get these things actually running down here. This is going to ruin our smeltery for a second. They're all going to have to run at full speed. I think things have been building up recently, so at least there's the backlog to make use of. But we'll definitely need more production to support what this system will be doing. At least in the medium to long term. Immediately it's going to be doing pretty much exactly what this setup is already doing, but then the idea of course is that we can then expand on that and do more. So we got these belts filling up. Now it's time for assemblers. So we're going to be building up here, which means we're going to be kind of cutting off a lot of this stuff here, unfortunately. I might leave a little bit of space just for some extra capacity, like we start over here, perhaps leave 5 so that this can extend to double its current length. We can have twice as much power production. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how much it takes. I think 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So this will be the starting point. Bring this down here. We're gonna plonk it here to start, and I'm gonna do. We'll just do 2 for now. So the way this works is we've got a central branch of materials going forever west, and we'll expand this out by adding more and more belts along the bottom, also heading west, and then north of this dividing line we will have sets of assemblers heading north, and so they'll be able to extend north as far as they can go until the grid goes weird or they bump into other things that I built. And we can and each chain will make one thing. So if we ever need more of that one thing being made, we simply add on to the end of the chain. Now this is a brilliant setup to use in a game like Factorio. There's also ways to make it very, very useful and satisfactory. I'm more doubtful of its overall usefulness in Dyson Sphere Program, but really there's only one way to properly find out, and that's to build the thing and then see if it fails. So we cut out a section here, and then we are going to use the splitter. Now, splitters in this game are excellent. They're very versatile. Gonna build one for you. So it's got 4. Oh, it's gonna tell us as well.
It can split
Wait,
passing cargo or balance.
There we go. If you double click, you can get rid of him. I wish I'd known that sooner. So yes, these have 4 entrances that also work as exits. So you can bring belts in, take belts out, and however you do that, it will balance them, which is brilliant. So you can have 1 belt going in, splitting 3 ways, or you can have 2 belts going in that are then balanced into 2 other belts. You can have 3 belts come in and merge into 1. It's great. I love it. You can also just have some of the slots not used, and it will balance whatever is actually plugged into it. Not only that, it can be edited. So I believe, yep, with tab, you can switch different modes of it. So there's this one, which is just on the ground 4 different directions. Then there's this one, where it's 2 on top of each other, facing opposite ways. And then this one. This is the key to success for the main bus in Dyson Sphere Program. It is 2 opposite each other on the ground, and then 2 opposite each other going the other way on the top. And this is what we're going to use. Technically we don't need it in this case, but I'm going to, just to fit the theme of the rest of the thing. I think, can we actually place belts here? We can, so this is the spot we want to line up with. So we place the splitter precisely here. We connect the belts up to the ground level connections, so it carries on through, but then it also splits one off out of the top here, and we bring this down to the ground and run it along next to these assemblers. And now there's an even split between going on and splitting off towards this here, and this column will be for making gears. Copy paste. Very simple setup for this. One thing in, one thing out. Pick that up. And then we have belts on the other side coming back. And it outputs there. We're of course going to need power for this, so we've got to bring that over. Let's go there, and then we can connect to that one there. And we have this thing making gears. Now, we want to take this belt, we want to raise it. So basically this region here is the stepping up, stepping down point. And then this is going to carry on. We're going to make a new belt over here. So again, we're going to have a splitter. Again, arranged like so. We connect this belt into it. And we have a belt coming out, which we make sure is on ground level. We've run out of belts. Like I said, this design uses a lot of belts. That's its main issue. There's of course other problems too. I mean, let's just... we need tons of them. Let's just make another 600 belts, because we'll use them pretty quick. And then something else useful we can do is we can bring the belt back. Because of the way the splitter works, we can send it back where it came from. This doesn't matter yet, but it will later on. For now, it's not particularly critical. But it sends it back towards where we are, which is nice. There we go. And this is the basic principle of the whole thing. In fact, one thing I am going to do, thinking about it, is I'm going to make this slightly more wacky. I'm going to move it up a bit, because there is some space constraints going on here that I'm hoping they will reduce later. Let's see. I gotta check this. So, I'm just gonna do a test. Belt running here is fine, doesn't get in the way. This belt does crash into the splitter. It does clip. I'm hoping that they actually make it so you can place belts. Well, mainly I want them to shrink the shrink the clipping box of the splitter if possible, because it would be very nice if I could just sneak something past the side here. So I'm actually gonna have the belt hop this way and then rise up, because it will help us to save on space, because all the splitters need room to work in. They're all going to get in each other's way, so if we can squish them up in one end, we've got more room later down the line for other things. And it's a problem I've run into in testing this out in my streamed game, is that the splitters take up more space than the machines do, and so you end up having to space the machines extra far from each other just because you're waiting to have room for the splitters to work. But that's the basic system there, and now we're just going to continue it. We're going to make the other thing, so we got to make the electromagnets and the circuits. Let's do the circuits. Always start with gears and circuits. That's the principle in Factorio. Now it gets a little bit more busy. Let me check the exact specifications of the recipe. It is 2 iron ingots and 1 copper ingot to make 2 circuit boards. So we want copper on the outside, iron on the inside, and circuits on the inside. So copper is going to be the first thing we grab. So let's clear a space here. Closest we can put this splitter is this spot right here. Reconnect everything. Bring this along, bring it down. Send it into there. Then we need to do the same for iron. I just clear a large chunk just to make sure I definitely don't miss it. And it gets a little bit harder here because now the splitters are colliding with each other, so I've got to put an extra step out to give it the space it needs. And then this can come out here, and it's immediately lined up correctly. And then we put down 2 assemblers. I'm going to have a belt coming back out on this side that is the circuits. I'm going to stop it there for the moment. Please craft me circuits. Copy paste. Got to give it sorters and power. Let's see if level 1s can handle it, though I'm not sure if that's... I should probably manage it. That works nicely. I'm leaving a gap of 1 here just for, like, you know, power lines and stuff. There might be other things that come along later that will mean that I actually want larger gaps, but I haven't encountered them in the game later on yet, so I don't know that they're going to be a problem. I leave deliberate gaps in my Factorio ones for logistics stuff to be added in later, and I'm not sure if there's equivalent things I need to worry about in the future of this one yet. So there may be changes to the design as we go, but this is the basic idea that I've got so far. So this runs down here. We've got to line it up with a splitter down here. And you see the pattern developing. This heads back somewhere. Doesn't matter too much right now. Most important thing is... Well, actually, it does matter right now because that's going to sign. So we do actually need to make sure that connects, thinking about it. So we'll extend that a bit more of a proper distance. We will hang about here, though, because, of course, we need to sort out the making of the magnets as well. We're also going to need some more sorters. Okay, I can't make the fancier ones. We'll just have to make do. Next up, of course, we have the electromagnets. So they are copper and magnets. So clear out some more space. It's gone eerily quiet. If it just occasionally does that, the music just runs out and it just goes quiet for a minute and suddenly it's kind of spooky. And then magnets and yeah, the splitters get in each other's way there. If you space the belts a little bit further apart, then you can have things a little bit closer, I think. Could be wrong. Yes, you could. Like, the distances here are one closer than the distances here. It's when they're next to each other that you get the problem. So, like, here they're closer. Here they're further. Closer. Closer. Further. So you could try and work out a particularly smart design to mean that the belts you're grabbing from are deliberately far apart, and that way you can fit them in closer proximity, but it doesn't matter that much. It's a very minor thing, really. So again, let's check the recipe to make sure we line things up as neatly as possible. And yeah, we want copper on the outside, then magnets. That's good, because that's the way around I picked them. And then magnets on the inside too, the fancier magnets. So belt, belt, and then let's connect them up. So drops down, pops in there, drops down, it's perfectly aligned. Oh, it drops too soon. That's no good. Come on. There we go. They can actually drop a lot sooner. Like here, it's dropping like one after the line it's going over, but the extra space means that like iron isn't gonna struggle, and there might be other things I need to use this space for later. I'm like, there might be a lot of belt maneuvering that has to happen at times to make sure everything lines up exactly where it needs to go. And especially because this is like one of the first iterations of this, I'm probably gonna find lots of kinks that need to be worked out as things go along, and I'll have to kind of bootstrap things around and like compensate for issues I uncover as we go. It's always the nature of it. I had to do a lot of workshopping with the Satisfactory main bus that I made before it got to the iteration that I showed in the Satisfactory Desert Bus series.
The data shows this is a planet without natural silicone veins. However, you can still obtain some by smelting stone ore. While you still need a massive silicone collection, you need to find a planet rich with silicone veins as soon as possible.
Indeed we do. We can get silicon here, but it's very inefficient, and we'd rather use the stone for other things if we can, especially considering there is silicon in other parts of the system.
And even the entire cluster by clicking the star map button in the lower left corner of the screen.
There we go. Did we unlock that because of science? I didn't even notice. Or did it just decide we can do that now? It's like, you progressed far enough, here you go. This thing also needs to go all the way back because it's also for the science. But there we go. We've now got a setup that is scalable. We can send it more north as long as we put foundation down first. And then also, of course, we can add more and more production chains making other things made of any of this stuff, and we can bring in other belts too that can make all the other stuff as well. In fact, it can be used for like... there's a lot of like versatility in how far you can take it. Like, I think a lot of production I'm not going to put on the bus just because of how it works, and a lot of things are isolated. They don't need to connect up with everything else. But whenever anything gets to kind of the main branch and has to be like needs circuits or electromagnets or something to be made, then I'm more likely to put it on the bus. But you could put everything on the bus if you want. You can even put furnaces on if you really want, but then that kind of works less effectively. There's also the potential for having multiple belts of the same item, so like throughput of iron could become an issue in particular. We could put another iron belt over the top. I've deliberately not used verticality here, partly because it's hard to bring belts down. So like the verticality in Satisfactory main buses works well because of the vertical belt. So you can very rapidly bring things down. It's like just grabbing something off a high shelf. You can just drop it straight down to the level of the machines and send it in. There's no such thing, to my knowledge yet, in Dyson Sphere Program. So I'm keeping everything on ground level. I'm just using the verticality so that the belts going sideways can hop over the main belts. And leaving it at that. So that's the idea behind it. I'm sure I'm going to come up with like better things later, and I'm sure the game's going to change in certain ways as early access progresses that mean that this becomes more or less effective. And I'm definitely going to discover like both ways that the bus is and isn't useful in coming researches as we go through the game. But I'm going to have to see what they are when we get to them. And until then, this is working for what we have so far. We can now get rid of all this. We've recreated this production over there in a way that is more usable. So we're just going to dismantle everything over here. And then we need to hook up these belts over here to the science. And later I'll make a better science area. Right now this is just something to get things going. But I'm going to want to mess around with things in future. I realize the magnet belt is in the way of the electromagnet belt, funnily enough. We'll just go over the top of it. Can we raise quick enough, or have I not given enough space? Looks like we can. Yep, we can raise quick enough. Okay. You do that. Just stay at level 2. Until... we'll carry on to here. Can it lower quick enough now, is the question. No. Okay. Bring it back a little bit. We're going to lower it one by one. So lower it to 1 here. Lower it to the ground here. Sorted. That's that one reconnected. It may get in the way of the circuits, though. We shall see. There's the circuits. They can probably get away with raising to 1. Yep, they're okay. That said, I should probably have them raised to 2 as well, just so that they stay in line with the other belt and don't interfere with other things that might want to cross over here later. The more you have belts at different levels next to each other, the more other belts coming by have to duck and weave to get where they're trying to go, which you don't want. Okay, we'll bring it up to here, and then I think we'll drop to ground level. Is it going to let that happen? Ooh, hang on. No, the magnets are going to interfere. Perhaps if we dropped 1 sooner, it would be okay. No, it's not having it. In that case, I think we've got to do a little sidestep. And then we can connect up to that just fine. It works out. A little bit squiggly at the end, but it'll do. Alright, let's let our drones finish the job. And I believe we have now completed all of the basic blue research. I think we need to get the red packs to continue from here. There we go. Did I? Oh, I raised them at different points. I tried to have them in line, and I failed. Whatever, it's fine. I'm just gonna not look at it. Maybe I'll fix it later. Now, there is something that we can start producing here that we haven't been producing before. And I realize I need to check what the recipe is for that. But we want to make electric motors. They're a bit more fiddly. They've got 3 inputs. So, luckily they're all pretty low speed. The only thing we want to be close, just to be sure, is the iron ingots. So we need gears, electromagnets, iron ingots, and then of course we need the output of the electric motors. So, I think these are all separate from each other. So, yep, that one, and that one. So they're not going to cause each other too much trouble, except the electromagnets, actually. They're going to get in their own way if I start immediately with them. And they're also going to get in the output's way if I start over there. So... okay, we'll do gears, and then we'll do electromagnets. So... and also, I think we're generally running out of everything right now, so I've got to bear that in mind. Where are the... oh, there's the splitters. Yeah, we need more of those straight away. And that leaves us with little in the way of things to make them out of. What are we short of? I bet it's basic iron. That's a common one that goes wrong. So, gears come out. They need to stay raised long enough. Then they can drop. Bring them along here and sidestep into place. Then we'll have the electromagnets. And yes, I know the electromagnets are literally right there. I could just put another splitter in, hop them straight across, but I'm a stickler for following my own rules. So I'm going to deliberately have them all come all the way down here, split here, and then split here and go all the way back up. It's, you know, it's versatility. Like, there's a chance that later on, if I like mess things around, change how certain things are set up, that like having it go straight across would cause me a problem. It's unlikely, but if you start making exceptions in one place, you'll end up making them everywhere, and then something down the line will turn out not to work with that anymore. So I go for the little bit of extra effort and faff and sending the belt somewhere else first to make sure that I follow my own rules and don't scupper myself later. Then we need another belt coming in. This is going to be the iron ingots, and then we need the belt coming out, which is of course going to be the outputted engines. So let's do this, and actually we're now I've managed to be quite smart with the splitters, and now we're actually kind of ahead of the game with those, and other stuff is lagging behind. We might be catching up here with it being 4 splitters feeding into this thing. So out and across, easy enough. And then right over here, we need, in this line, another splitter. I like that it remembers the orientation and the type of splitter, so I don't have to mess around with that. And engines can go on their way. And also, back where they came from. Or back where everything else came from. Get all the inputs and outputs set up. And we need power. Right there. My bots are off building other things, come on. And there we go. We're making engines. And I think, are they used for, there we go, that's why we couldn't make the Sorter Mark II, because it's engines they're made out of. Now we're making them here, we don't need to worry about making them ourselves anymore. I will just check, is there any science that we can still do? I am pretty sure the answer is no, but it would be such a shame if we wasted time not researching something that we could be at this point. There's one thing that we haven't unlocked yet, accelerant. I'm guessing that's maybe for that's maybe the beacon of this game, the Factorio beacon. And that'll definitely mess up my main bus design, because I imagine that they're a large structure that you can't just sneak in a small gap. Yeah, we've got everything here that we can, pretty sure. Yeah, we need the red cubes, so perhaps that will be the project of next episode. Shouldn't actually be too hard to get them set up. All we got to do is sort out oil. We've got graphite being made. That said, we need the graphite for the power we're currently generating. Speaking of... we're hanging around close to our limit here. I definitely want to increase the capacity. Because it's, it's going to be a problem as soon as we build any new system. Like, if we want red signs happening, we're going to need more power. Just how it goes. There we go. And let's grab what's here so far, just so we have some to hand. And I think it's a good time for a resupply. I want to get exactly 30. Because I like me my round numbers, especially when I'm making things in round numbers, so I need them to match. We've got a lot of gubbins on us right now. Oh yeah, of course, because I harvested those gears. I've got way more gears than I need. I mean, let's make a bunch of belts. That's what they're for. But we are basically out of iron ingots, as I suspected. The thing you always run out of first, it seems. Let's have plenty. Though that means we're even shorter on space. Of course, every time we do research, we pick up the item for it. So we've got a random solar panel now. Let's just plonk that somewhere. Up here. I would just want it out of the way. I don't want it getting under my feet later. Oh, we've got a storage tank. We got a water pump. Actually, I don't think we got a water pump. Which is good, because we don't want to use one for a good while yet. Right, we can craft a bunch of... Oh, that was the wrong button. We can craft a bunch of belts. That'll take us over a stack, so let's make some more. There we go. That's basically 2 stacks of the stuff. Let's get some of these going. How many engines does that use? Oh, only 5. Make another 10 of them then. I should honestly just stick that to 10. They use the level 1s, so we need to make a couple more of those as well. Just to make up for it. We've got plenty of power poles still. We're a little bit short on smelters, so let's grab some more of those. Got no stone bricks to hand, apparently. That's fine. We won't even notice that we need to craft those. It'll just happen. Oh, and you know what? Let's make 3 labs. Let's look to the future and prepare for when we're making red science packs. And how about splitters? We're doing fine for those, actually. Yeah, we're pretty good for all of that now. I would like to increase our power capacity, but I think we're going to call that episode there. We built ourselves the main bus. Let's go head back over to it. Unfortunately, it's nighttime. But you can see it taking shape. It's going to take up a lot of space. That's just how these things go. There's going to be tons of belts stretching kind of a ridiculous way south. And it's always going to be very expensive to put together a new one and all that, like, because you're going to have to have it go the whole length, and then the belt come out and belts come in, and the further out we go, the more belts it's going to be. That's the cost you have to eat to make this main bus system work. And the hope is that the scalability and the versatility and the modularity will all come into play and help it to be useful going into the future. And yeah, let's find out how it goes and whether it was a good idea. The only way to do it is to keep playing, see what kind of recipes come up that we have to deal with, see whether they're compatible with the bus, see if the bus gives us what we need, and yeah. At the end of the series, we'll have a verdict. Like, around the time I build a Dyson Sphere, I'll probably be able to definitively say whether or not this was a good idea. We shall find out then. But that is all I have time for today, so I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.